Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we'll continue through March of 1986 as we finish up Season 4 of Fraggle Rock. And again, this is the broadcast season, the way HBO originally aired them, not the way they were produced. And as always, we use Muppet Wiki as our source for the order in which we should be watching these because Apple TV Plus is all out of whack.
And their thumbnails are crazy. It's extra apparent in this set.
Yeah, when you have an episode called Red's Blue Dragon and that thumbnail is on a different episode.
With a big blue dragon on it.
Yep. But yeah, we are discussing the last 4 episodes of the season today, and those are Red's Blue Dragon, Wonder Mountain, Space Frog Follies, and Boober Gorg. Well, normally we would have a quick fun chat here at the top of the episode, Sam, but today I don't think we have any time because we have 4 episodes. Which is a thing we used to do around this time last year when we started discussing Fraggle Rock.
I know. I got too tired, though.
Yeah. After 2 seasons of that, we were like, okay, that's too much Fraggle Rock.
We did that for 2 seasons?
Yeah.
Time perception is so fucking weird.
It took us over 40 episodes of Fraggle Rock to be like, you know what? Maybe this is too much to talk about at once.
I would have sworn that happened after 2 episodes.
Yeah, no, it was after 2 full seasons of discussing Fraggle Rock, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Sometimes when I'm uploading stuff to our podcast platform and I go back and I have to look at the last episode of Fraggle Rock we did to see some formatting thing. And then I click back 3 pages and 35 episodes and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I don't remember doing any of this.
It is the passing of time, especially feels like, to me, I'm like, Fraggle Rock feels like we started talking about that years ago at this point. And it's been just over a year.
That tracks with me a little bit more, but it is wild how quickly we've gotten through several years worth of stuff.
Yeah, we were at this time last year, we were discussing things that were made in 1984. We had just started season 2.
Okay.
So we've made it about 2.5 years in 1 year.
Yeah, we had to really get through the doldrums of 85. But yeah, I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else except you.
Well, and no one else would possibly say yes.
So, I don't know what that says about us, but we're made for each other.
We're stuck together. That is the true meaning behind the title of this podcast. Commitment is that vow is real.
Yep.
And Sam is now going to tell us the things we watched today.
First, we watched Red's Blue Dragon, air date March 10th, 1986. Red Fraggle thinks Uncle Traveling Matt is full of shit when it comes to his stories about outer space. That is as well an established fact on Fraggle Rock as anything. So when Matt dares Red to go into outer space after she says that he ain't so brave, and she then chickens out, that really sticks in her craw. So she follows Matt to the cave full of portals to outer space that he and Gobo found in a previous episode, girds her loins, and goes through one of them. She is then transported to a strange, beautiful place that seems to be neither Fraggle Rock nor outer space, a place with a tree full of golden apples guarded by a large blue dragon, which chases Red back through the portal pretty quickly. She then goes to Matt to tell him what she saw, and he tells her that she is the one who's full of shit now. Red vows to get proof and goes back to the portal cave, followed this time by Matt and Gobo, who are concerned that she may actually go to outer space and get hurt. A wacky mix-em-up ensues as Red, Gobo, Matt, and the dragon go in and out of portals looking for and just missing each other. Eventually, Matt ends up in the place with the golden apples and then tells Red later that he believes her. Red admits that Matt's travels are maybe a little harder and scarier than she gave him credit for, and all are left with a deeper and more complete understanding of each other. The moral: don't judge someone till you've walked a mile in their shoes. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc and Sprocket are preparing for Miss Ardath's masquerade ball, which Doc desperately tries to turn into a lesson about pretending to be something you aren't, but really they're just dressing up in silly costumes. Next up, Wonder Mountain, air date March 17th, 1986. Moki is preparing to take a journey to the infamously dangerous Wonder Mountain to see the Aurora Fraglialis. Probably
Yeah.
the weakest thing, the weakest name they've ever given anything.
Well, yeah, I think so. But I think it also was in line with how we had talked about when they played Follow the Leader. And I was like, just call
Right.
it Follow the Fraggle or
That's true.
something.
That's
Show a
true.
little bit more effort. And I think this is that little bit more effort.
Yeah, but it's just like the include. You have to name it that, or people aren't going to know what you're talking about.
There's
I
also a moment near
understand.
the end where I'm pretty sure Moki says Aurora Fragrialis.
Uh-oh.
Like she mispronounces it from earlier.
This
Like,
bullshit made up word.
yeah.
It's just the introduction of Latin into this whole situation that is kind of throwing me off. Anyway, the Aurora Fraglialis, which is an atmospheric phenomenon that only happens once every 1,000 days. In preparation for her trip, she's acquired a guidebook about the mountain, but Red is very worried that this isn't enough to get her there safely and tells Moki that Red needs to go with her. Moki insists that this trip is something that she feels she has to do herself and goes off on the trip. But Red is too worried to let that happen, so she sneaks ahead of Moki to start scouting Wonder Mountain and setting up ways that Moki can circumvent the various dangers without knowing that that is what's happening. Her attempts, however, fail miserably time after time as Red tries to make things safer, gets hurt in the process, then Moki shows up and just breezes right past any danger. This comes to a head when Red finds the Chamber of the Singing Cactuses, a group of siren like plants that hypnotize you into singing and dancing with them forever. Red gets too close to the cactuses and gets hypnotized until Moki, who is prepared with a pair of radish earplugs for this particular peril, happens upon the scene and rescues her. Red lies and says that she just really wants to see the Aurora Fraglialis for herself, and that is why she's following Moki. And Moki gives in and lets Red travel with her for the rest of the way. Red, however, takes over the pathfinding, ignoring Moki's guide and inadvertently leading them into the lair of the avalanche beast who chases them. As they run away, Red lets slip that she was trying to protect Moki, and Moki is pissed until Red agrees to consult the guidebook for how to get out of the jam that they're in, which gives them the idea to lead the avalanche beast to the singing cactuses, which works. The beast is hypnotized and trapped, and the pair climb the rest of the way to see the Aurora Fraglialis. Red apologizes for not giving Moki the benefit of the doubt that she knew what she was doing, and Moki admits that it's nice to be there seeing the Aurora Fraglialis with her best friend. The moral: trust that your friends know what's best for them and don't try to force them to do everything your way. Meanwhile, up in outer space, a wild animal is sneaking into Miss Ardath's garden at night, so she recruits Sprocket as a guard dog to scare it off. Doc, however, is too worried about Sprocket that he'll get eaten by some kind of beast and sneaks out to keep an eye on him, getting sprayed by a skunk in the process. Next, we watched Space Frog Follies. Air date March 24th, 1986. My wife's birthday, but not year. It's Gobo's birthday. Whoa! It's Gobo's birthday too. Gobo's birthday is Rachel's birthday. It's Gobo's birthday, and because Uncle Travelin' Matt is a terrible surrogate parent, he is having to plan his own surprise party. What's more, Matt tells him that he isn't even going to be able to make the party. But maybe Matt ain't such a deadbeat after all, because he has secretly procured an incredible gift for Gobo from outer space: a real, living, non-Muppet frog. And he can't be at Gobo's party because he has to go collect flies for the frog to eat. So Matt confides all this to Wembley and leaves him in charge of keeping the frog hidden until the party. Wembley brings the frog to Boober's house to hide it, but Boober is extremely grossed out by the slimy frog and tries to kick it and Wembley out of his house, causing the frog to escape the jar that it's being kept in in the process. Wembley tries to catch the frog by dressing like a fly and running all around Fraggle Rock buzzing, a plan which indirectly leads to the frog, but also makes all the other Fraggles think that Wembley has invented a hot new dance craze, the insect rock. Wembley, in order to throw Gobo off the scent of the secret gift, has to put on a big song and dance number for Fraggle Rock about insect rock, leaving the frog with Boober. Boober, however, can't handle it, so he sneaks up to the hole in Doc's workshop to try and get rid of the frog, because he's a little rat, I guess. He's not very nice in this episode. When the gang is done singing and dancing, Matt arrives and tells Gobo about the frog, but it's gone. Wembley goes off looking for it, learns what Boober did, and gets extremely pissed, maybe the most pissed we've ever seen any Fraggle ever. He finds the frog again, but in catching it, realizes that the frog is probably scared and lonely being trapped in Fraggle Rock. So Wembley makes the command decision to release it into Doc's workshop in spite of his friends trying to stop him. Gobo, however, trusts Wembley's best friends, eventually agrees with Wembley, and they release the frog back into outer space. The moral, I guess, don't keep wild animals as pets, but also Boober's a bad friend. There's like a whole bunch of this episode about just like not keeping wild animals as pets, and I'm not sure what that part's about.
But it also doesn't feel like that is the real moral. Like that just, it's more about, it's, to me, it felt more like Wembley was realizing that like people should be with their own kind, as opposed to him going, "You're a wild animal. You shouldn't be in Fraggle Rock."
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. But also, what's the rest of the episode about before Wembley starts talking about that out of nowhere?
Great question, because Doc also pulls that out of nowhere at the very, very end,
Yeah.
and he releases the frog outside and says, "A frog doesn't belong in a workshop." But
Yeah.
the majority of his plot is also not about not,
Yeah.
something not being where it doesn't belong or whatever.
Because Doc borrowed a sweater from Ned Schimmelfinny, but Sprocket thought it was his blankie and he chewed on it. So Doc tells Ned it's just at the cleaner, the sweater's just at the cleaner being cleaned, and meanwhile is trying to fix this sweater, which was knitted by Ned's granny from Scotland, and he feels really bad. But he just makes it worse, and then he fesses up to Ned, who tells him that this sweater is the sweater that Ned lends to his no good useless friends who always stain it up and rip it, so it's all fine.
Maybe the moral is the more you lie, the more things unravel.
Oh, you know what? That's exactly what the moral is, Matt. I think you're right. Because, well, okay, you're right. But Wembley was put into this position by someone else.
Yes,
So,
correct. Yeah, Uncle Traveling Matt is the villain here.
Uncle Traveling Man and Boober both are operating in a way that's exacerbating a thing that is not, like, Wembley didn't break the law by keeping a present secret.
Well, no, and you're preying upon the most gullible of Fraggles. I think they
That
might even
too.
call him that in one of these episodes.
Yeah, that too.
But you're asking the most gullible of Fraggles to do something very specific for you. Of course
Bad.
he's going to do it.
Yeah, bad. Well, yeah, and do it poorly because he's an idiot.
Oh, yeah. He's a mess.
Next up, Boober Gorg. Air date March 31st, 1986. Boober has invented a new way to cook radishes, effectively putting them in a pressure cooker, which explodes, flinging a radish into Boober's head, which gives him amnesia. Boober can't remember any of his friends or his love for laundry or cooking. His friends try to help him remember, but Boober has come truly unmoored and is completely deranged until they mention radishes, which gives him a faint glimmer of a memory. So his friends lead him to the Gorg garden so he can take a look at some radishes and hopefully come back to his senses. However, once they get there and explain to him that Gorgs take care of radishes, Boober comes to the conclusion that because he loves radishes so much, he must be a Gorg, and he runs off into the garden. Meanwhile, the Gorgs are in a tizzy because an ancient scroll has suggested that today is the day that an evil wizard will come to visit them and do something bad. Ma and Pa try to find Junior to keep him safe and help them look out for the wizard, but Junior is missing. They see Boober walk out of the hole and declare that he is a Gorg, and they figure that he must be Junior, transformed and his memories taken by the evil wizard. So Ma and Pa teach him the ways of the Gorg, including that Fraggles are the enemy, and put him to work doing chores and cooking, which naturally he's very good at, even though he's teeny tiny. The rest of the Fraggles try to get him back, but Boober thinks they're plotting an invasion to steal all the radishes, so he has Ma and Pa help him set up traps and patrol for the Fraggles. The Fraggles ambush Boober in the garden, and he tells them that he remembers everything, but it's all a dastardly trick. He was using himself for bait, and a cage falls on the Fraggles, capturing them all. Ma and Pa tell Boober that the Fraggles are his to maim and kill however he pleases, and Boober tries to go along with it, but his brain revolts at the idea of his friends being mangled, and he snaps back to his old self just in time for Junior to wake up from a nap he was taking on the roof of the castle and reveal himself to his parents. In the confusion, the Fraggles sneak away back down to Fraggle Rock, happy to have the old Boober back. The moral. I think this one has a theme more than a moral, I would say. The theme kind of fitting into the like being out of place, trying to like live in a society or culture that you're not necessarily part of. But also the moral is that Boober is scary good at catching Fraggles and coming up with ways to kill them.
He's brilliant.
That's kind of my takeaway from this episode. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Ned's cat Fluffinella is sick, so Doc sends Sprocket over to keep him company. Sprocket comes back meowing and acting like a cat till Doc feeds him some gross cat food and Sprocket snaps out of it. And that's all episodes of Fraggle Rock we watch.
Well, elsewhere in the world of the Muppets, March 9th, 1986, Jim writes in his journal, shoot test for storyteller. So this was after Labyrinth was already off in post-production, so the Creature Shop turned its attention to maybe making some creatures for a little show called The Storyteller, which we will talk about in the future. But for now, this is just a little test shoot that Jim set up. Then, March 14th and 15th, 1986, Jim writes, Sneak Labby in San Francisco.
What's this mean?
This is a audience sneak preview of the film of Labyrinth.
Oh, Labby.
Yeah, Labby is Labyrinth, obviously.
Sneak Labby. Why didn't you just write the word labyrinth out?
Maybe he forgot how to spell it.
It is a really hard one.
He was like, shit. Is there an I or a Y? Is there another Y? Maybe he just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, one thing I'm sure of is that there is a Y in it, so let's stick that at the end.
But yeah, this was just an audience preview of the film. And in Jim's Red Book, it says Jim went out to his co-producer George Lucas's home turf of San Francisco for a screening. I don't know if that was a conscious effort on Jim's part, or if that was just like, hey, we just finished sound at Skywalker. Let's screen it over here or something.
This is convenient, yeah.
Yeah. Then on March 16th, 1986, Jim goes on the Today Show, where he will be interviewed about the upcoming film Labyrinth.
Is that a clip we have?
Unfortunately, not. This is one of those clips from the Today Show that I have not been able to find. It's clearly been out there some point in the world because there's a pretty clear description of it on Muppet Wiki saying that Jim talks about loving to perform and saying he's comfortable directing large films. There's also a brief interview apparently with Jennifer Connelly where she says she's gotten used to talking to Muppets. So at some point this was out there, and then at some point it got taken down off the internet. Then on March 24th, 1986, the Academy Awards happen, and we will get to watch what the Muppets did at that next time. Then on March 26th, 1986, The Tale of the Bunny Picnic will air.
Hell yeah. The movie event of the year.
Which we will also be talking about next time.
We're going to meet Bean finally.
But for now, getting into our Fraggle Rock episode, Sam, I will say, I don't know if I was in a sour mood or something going into this batch, but I didn't love this batch of episodes.
It was like, I feel like it was a batch of unusual episodes in a lot of ways. Like there's one episode that had a B plot and they like never do B plots, and that was quite weird.
Well, and a B plot that doesn't really have an ending.
Yeah, that seems like there's going to be one more scene where something is wrapped up.
Yep.
But it's really just like, it reminded me of Friends or something where...
Yeah, I think we're talking about the 3 Fraggles and a baby.
Yeah. Where just like Joey falls on his ass and everyone's like, Joey, and then that's the end. They don't need to wrap it up any more than that. But that's never happened on Fraggle Rock before.
No, it's quite bizarre that the B plot is bizarre in its own right.
Yeah.
But they keep cutting back to it. I'm like, this is a waste of time, guys. Don't bother with this. And then the fact that it doesn't have an ending makes it even weirder.
For something that isn't otherwise a very interesting episode. I think that was
Yeah.
my favorite one of the week. But just to like
Mm.
think that they couldn't, they had to pad that episode out where you're like going
Yeah.
on a big adventure is so weird unless the person who wrote it just like really had it stuck in their head that somebody had to take care of Lanford.
Right? Like, we don't see Lanford for like 12 episodes in a row, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, this one, it's really
Who's
important that somebody's around to take
but
care of
who's going to
Lanford.
take care of Lanford? It's a plant.
I initially was assuming, because, it's the mid 80s and they have a whole subplot about Boober, Wembley, and Gobo taking care of a plant, that either Full House or 3 Men and a Baby had, inspired the Fraggle Rock writers. But turns out
Uh-huh.
both the Full House and 3 Men and a Baby came out 1 year after this episode.
Is what you're trying to say, Matt? Is that's where they got the idea?
I think this is maybe an actual case of
It's at least temporally makes more sense than a lot of the ones that I say.
yeah, it'd be hard to maybe turn around a full feature film of 3 Men and a Baby that fast.
After seeing a episode of a TV show where 3 puppets take care of a puppet plant,
Yeah, Tom Selleck was just like, hold on, call my agent.
what if these were 3 men and a plant? And then they were like, Tom, try
Tom?
again.
No.
Forget the plant.
Well, I will say that's not my favorite of the 4 episodes. So at least we had
Oh.
a little bit of you enjoyed some episodes more than I did. At
I
least.
feel like that one was the runaway for me, but
I think the B plot soured it too much.
yeah, I didn't give it 4 stars for that reason because it was just like what are you doing? But yeah, then the other thing about the first episode that we're going to talk about is that I feel like Jerry is just really invested in this idea of this cave with all the different portals, and it's led him down a bad path.
Well, yeah, getting into that episode, it aired on March 10th, 1986. It's called Red's Blue Dragon, written by Susan and Jerry Jewell, and directed by Terry Maskell. There is no Boober, Wembley, and Moki, really, in this episode. I don't remember. They might appear briefly at the beginning. I don't remember, but they're definitely not in it for most of it.
Uh-huh.
Which, again, shows that you can do that, and you don't need to give them a silly B plot.
Yeah, but maybe this one could have used a silly B plot. Wouldn't it have been fun if they all went to the cave where it sucks them into different places or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds expensive for them to make, though.
That's true.
Well, Sprocket's reading a book of dogs at the beginning of this episode, learning that there are ferocious dogs out there. So when Doc comes in, he barks at him, pretending to be a ferocious dog.
And
which
Doc's
works out
kind of like sad. Doc is like, Sprocket, this isn't you at all.
Yeah, at first he's a little taken aback, but he quickly looks at the book and realizes, oh, okay, Doberman pinchers. You realize those exist now, so you're being a jerk.
Yeah, I recognize that most dogs could probably just like completely maul me, but I do think I could beat up Sprocket.
I don't know. He could like get up on his hind legs and punch you like a kangaroo.
He can also hold pipes and various other
That's
weapons.
true. He's gonna get you when you're not looking.
Sprocket could shoot a gun if he really needed to.
Maybe that's the last episode of Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
Well, him pretending to be another dog works out perfectly because Miss Ardath is throwing a masquerade ball, something we know Jim Henson also loved to do.
Yeah, they're sucking up to Jim with this one.
Yeah, and Sprocket wants to go as a different kind of dog.
Maybe this is Jerry working through his anxiety about going to that stupid masquerade ball every year.
It's like, or he went as a football player one time,
And
Jim was
made
like,
fun of him.
"What a bad costume!"
And then now Doc's like, everybody loved my football player costume. They thought I really was a football player.
Well, yeah. While Sprocket wants to go as a different kind of dog, Doc wants to go as a linebacker, and says the sentence, "Hey, pup dog, how's about we go out and toss the old pigskin around?"
Doc's getting weird.
I like pup dog.
Yeah, I thought this was a good batch of Doc and Sprockets. There hasn't been one for a while where I've really been like, what are these guys doing?
They very directly tie them to the Fraggle morals in this episode in ways that are much clearer than in the past when they've just been like, oh, yeah, I guess he's kind of talking about be true to yourself.
Yeah. Oh, and they clearly tie it to events happening in Fraggle Rock, too.
Yeah. Because down in Fraggle Rock, Gobo is sneaking into the workshop to get a postcard from Uncle Traveling Matt, who apparently left again.
I guess so, but why does he still have to mail the postcards if he has instant portals to everywhere?
Fantastic question.
This is quite weird.
But yeah, Gobo comes back into the rock, runs into Red, who's pretending to be Princess Gwenalot from an adventure book that she's been reading from the Elder Clan adventure series.
Yeah, something that really doesn't serve any purpose but to just lightly inspire her to be more brave than usual.
Well, and I think to set up that she could be lying
Oh,
because
yes, playing
she's
pretend.
playing
You're right.
pretend and she's pretending to be a princess who fights a blue dragon.
That's right. I forgot about that
So
part.
when she tells them, I saw a blue dragon, they're like, oh, yes, you're just playing pretend again.
Yeah. There is a weird undertone in this episode of the Fraggles are children. I feel like in a way
Yes.
that they aren't usually portrayed as children.
Yeah, especially from Uncle Traveling Matt, who, like,
Mhm.
obviously we know he is older than the other Fraggles. That's
Yeah.
implied. But he does definitely treat Red, especially, like she's like a 5-year-old.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily come across as like condescending. It is condescending, but it doesn't come across as like unfounded. It comes across as like they actually maybe are younger than maybe Jerry thinks of them as younger than other writers do.
Yeah, I think Uncle Traveling Matt is not written to be as much of an oaf in this episode as he
Yeah,
normally is.
that's
And so
true.
you're almost on his side at
Right.
times in like being against Red, even though you know Red is telling the truth. The
Yeah.
way he is like so dismissive of like what she's been doing, it almost, I don't know. It like they don't make Uncle Traveling Matt as goofy as he should be in this plot line.
Because he's aware. The problem I think is that he's aware that Red is a dick to him. So that kind of breaks
Right.
that kind of breaks their like dynamic a little bit because he's like, you're always so rude to me. I'm going to be rude to you. But that's not how Matt's brain works.
Well, and also like he has talked plenty of times about like, oh, there was a large shiny beast with two bright eyes that almost ran me
Exactly.
over, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, so a blue dragon sounds strange to you all of a sudden.
That struck me as odd too.
But we learn that Gobo is expecting Uncle Traveling Matt to come back today and says maybe he used one of the other entrances. To which Red replies, "What other entrances?"
Yeah.
So apparently Gobo didn't tell anyone else about the cool portal cave.
They're dangerous, I suppose.
Yeah, but everyone knows about the portal out to Doc's workshop, and they don't go out there because it's too dangerous.
Yeah. And they're I guess there could be a portal to a less dangerous way to get food than the Gorg Garden also.
But I think maybe you're right about the danger because these portals are a little bit more dangerous in that if you accidentally touch them, they whoosh you out.
Yeah, you get sucked in. Yeah.
Well, Uncle Traveling Matt comes in through the regular entrance, and he and Red scare each other. And this is when Red is talking to Uncle Traveling Matt about, I bet it ain't that scary out there in outer space. So Uncle Traveling Matt's like, well, I dare you to go out there then. And she immediately fails to do so.
And this really bothered me because Jerry just wrote an episode about how embarrassing it is that Uncle Matt is afraid of something. And now Red is equally as afraid of something.
Yeah, and that kind of ends up being the lesson of this episode is that Red learns that it is truly scary and dangerous out there, and Uncle Traveling Matt should be revered.
Yeah, they should apologize to him for that whole previous episode.
Yeah, and I think that's the other part of it too, of like because he's not acting like an oaf, but we all know he is an oaf who is always getting things wrong and is always scared.
Yeah.
Like the episode ends up not really being on Red's side, but we all should be completely on Red's side.
Yeah. Because this guy's a blowhard who screws everything up.
Well, Uncle Traveling Matt tells Red about the portal cave, or what we come to learn has now been renamed to the T. Matthew Fraggle Room.
I think that's really funny. That
That's
gave the episode a whole star for me, basically.
one, fantastic name.
Uh-huh.
Two, the fact that they've added infrastructure to it, and it now
Yeah.
has a handrail. They still use the weird, mysterious scarecrow as their
Yeah.
handle, but no longer do they fall through an open pit. They
Uh-huh.
now have built like a staircase that they can just walk down.
I thought that was nice. They got those weird little critters like shining it up, helping them out too.
Oh, I think you mean the ink spots.
The ink spots, yeah.
But yeah, they seem to have employed them to help them build.
Yeah, it's weird
maybe
not
the
to ask the
infrastructure.
doozers to do that, I guess.
It is weird. Maybe they don't trust the
I
doozers.
guess so, yeah.
I feel like Uncle Traveling Matt wouldn't trust a doozer.
No, yeah. He's old and nasty.
Well, as Uncle Traveling Matt heads into the T. Matthew Fraggle room, Red follows him. Matt whooshes off to outer space and quickly whooshes back, saying he just went to a terrifying place called the Mother Fluffy Teddy Bear Company. But Red doesn't really believe him.
Mm-hmm.
And so she summons up her own strength by thinking, what would Princess Gwenalot do? And she goes through an archway of her own, where we see some very weird fake, like grade school play clouds floating in the
The
air.
clouds really struck me as well.
It just seems very fake and opens up too many questions.
It was like, is she gonna find out that like this cave is like the room of requirement or something, and it's like showing
Mm,
her. They don't explain it at all,
no.
but it brings her to basically the place that she is pretending about and reading about.
Well, and it also makes me wonder now of like, okay, uh the Gorg's garden
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily act like the same kind of place as this because obviously they don't get whooshed
they
through a
don't whoosh
portal.
there. It's a naturally just a part of their world.
Yeah, but it's similar in that it is not part of the real world, but is its own, sort of fully realized parallel universe, I
I
guess.
guess.
Like, where is this blue tree with golden apples supposed to be?
Yeah, it doesn't. They just keep calling it outer space. Like,
Right, because it's like somewhere in or on the earth, I
yeah.
guess.
When I think it would have been more interesting if she had gone to a real place and saw like a vacuum cleaner or something. But
Yeah.
then I guess she's just talking to a vacuum cleaner for the whole episode, and that's weird. But this is also very weird. It just breaks so much stuff that we know. Like, it really messes up Traveling Matt. Like, I don't know how they completely lost the plot so bad on what Matt is supposed to be.
Well, Sprocket's using a laundry hose as an elephant trunk, doing a fantastic elephant impression. But Doc says, "Aren't you a little small for an elephant?"
So Sprocket could have dressed up like a blue dragon, and she could meet him or something. I don't know.
I just wish Sprocket could say, "Aren't you a little small for a linebacker, Doc?"
Yeah, Doc doesn't. Maybe it doesn't understand how costume parties work.
Yeah, you don't have to be the size
You
of the
don't have
thing
to.
you're dressed
Yeah,
as.
you have to name all of the things you're exactly the same size as, and then pick from those.
Well, Red is still fighting the dragon, but she quickly throws a rock to distract it and then hurries back to the T. Matthew Fraggle room. And she's smart enough to mark the arch she went through with an amulet so she knows which one goes where.
There's also something about this dragon where it seems like he's got more going on than because
Hmm.
he's not like trying to. Maybe he's trying to kill her, but he's so scared later, and nobody ever
Yeah.
says, "Are you okay, buddy?"
Well, that's the thing is like along with the sea monster or the beastie or like a lot of other Fraggle Rock
Yeah,
creatures we've seen, they usually don't turn out as scary as they actually are hinted at being.
right.
And we usually deal with that in a little better way of like defining, oh, you just wanted food or you just wanted this thing or
Yeah.
whatever. And this guy is just like really scary and then really scared.
Yeah, and then they don't talk about him ever again.
Yeah.
And then Matt goes there and doesn't meet him. Maybe Matt should have gone there, and the dragon shows up, and he's like, "Hey, Matt, what's up?" And Matt's like,
Oh,
"Hey,
Carl.
oh you, yeah,
Well, Red runs back and tells everyone about her adventures to outer space, but of course, no one believes her. And this is one of the moments where Uncle Traveling Matt treats her like a child, saying, "I'm glad you're having fun play acting. That's what a teensy weensy Fraggle should do."
I did like this scene because I liked how much of a dickhead he was being."
Well, yeah, because he's also just like lying down, waiting for everyone to like argue about stuff, and he just like sits up. He's like, "All right, well, let the genius jump in here and be
Yeah.
like, well, you've got it all wrong."
Sometimes they do still nail him, and I think Dave Goles does a really good job as Traveling Matt.
Oh
This is
yeah,
like a pretty good Dave Goles batch, I would say.
yeah. The Boober Gorg episode, especially, he gets to
Hmm.
play. But this gets into a little bit of Sam's favorite kind of episode, where the same thing happens over and over
Yeah,
again.
but it's the same thing happens 800 times.
Yeah, Red's gonna go back to the arch to get proof, and then Matt and Gobo follow her. Matt picks a random arch, and Gobo's too scared to join him, for which he beats himself up a little bit, but that's also not really a plot point.
No.
Red did make it back to the same Golden Apple Dragon world, though. But Uncle Traveling Matt ended up in a library where he asks the librarian directly about a story about a blue dragon, and the guy hands him a book with a dragon
Yeah.
on the cover.
This part kind of worked for me.
It didn't work for me until at the end, Uncle Traveling Matt opens the book and goes, "Red, are you in there?"
Yeah. It's all this is another thing where it's always felt like those spots, those Uncle Traveling Matt spots were just shot completely alienated from anything else happening in the episode. So it's kind of almost surprising to see him actually referencing Fraggle Rock in any capacity.
I love how they also clearly don't want to pay the actors.
to talk. Yeah.
Yeah, so none of the humans he ever interacts with have lines.
They're always just like, I didn't even go, They're just like
No.
gesticulating. Like, this guy really is hamming it up, though.
Yeah. Well, he's having a direct conversation with Uncle Matt, but
Yeah.
like not talking back to him, which
Yeah.
is a weird thing to do as a human.
Yeah, very strange.
It also was probably way easier to shoot those things without sound
Yeah.
and just
Yeah,
have narration later.
Right.
Well, Gobbo summons up the courage and also hits a random arch, and he comes out under the porch of Doc's workshop. We got a brand new set built
Mhm.
out here.
His
showing
place is a dump.
It is a dump. There's a ton of garbage everywhere. We also see some water in the background that looks a bit more like a lake than the seaside I was imagining.
It could be a quay? A K?
Whoa.
What are those called?
I don't know what you're
it
trying
could
to
be some
say.
kind of inlet where you
Yeah,
can see
yeah.
the other shore. I just saw. I mean, I assume he lives on the ocean, but I can't. Oh, because there's sea captains coming in and out all the time. So
Yeah. I think we've talked about like maybe even like Maine, like the coast of Maine or something.
or just
feels
Canada,
right.
just straight up Canada.
But yeah, there's trash just everywhere. As Doc runs up dressed as a football player with Groucho glasses provided to him by Ned Schimmelfinney.
Big Ned Schimmelfinney batch of episodes as well. We haven't. I feel like we haven't heard from Ned that much in a while.
Well, and especially in ways where he's central to the plot. Like the sweater one obviously is important, but this one, it feels like he's maybe just fucking with Doc and is like, hey, here's some Groucho glasses. That'll definitely help your costume.
Yeah.
But yeah, for those who might be curious, like I was, Doc is wearing a Charles White Los Angeles Rams jersey in this scene.
I bet even the people who made the episode didn't know what it was.
Nope. It's not like they would have a random like Rams jersey laying around in Toronto. Gobbo comes back to the T. Matthew Fraggle room, and Matt comes back too. But they still doubt that Red saw a dragon for some reason, because I guess they didn't see a dragon, so how could she?
These guys see all kinds of things all day, every day.
But Red is still in the dragon's world as Gobbo and Matt wander off, and then she and the dragon fall back into Fraggle Rock. In a real, like, Freddy Krueger coming out of your dreams kind of.
Yeah, except there's no repercussions to it at all.
It really seemed like there was gonna be.
Yeah.
Like, she was afraid, the dragon was afraid, he runs away. Surely he's gonna get into some trouble.
No, he doesn't go anywhere, though. He just stays there. There's a couple episodes this batch where by the end of the episode, I was like, wait, I had to go back through and scrub back through to be like, did anything happen in this episode? And a couple times the answer was no.
Yeah, because Uncle Traveling Matt comes in, sees the amulet, and accidentally goes through the portal to the dragon world. But the dragon accidentally goes through a different portal, and he ends up in the Doc's porch world. We cut back to Doc telling Sprocket that Fluffinella is going to be at the masquerade ball as well, and then they see the dragon run by and assume that's Fluffinella.
Yeah, it's kind of uncanny. This dragon is close enough to like a creature that this part is kind of like, ooh.
Well, and it's terrifying to think of him running off into the real world.
Yeah. He comes
Like
back, though, for no reason.
Which is, I would almost prefer that he just disappears and we never see him again.
Yeah.
He like goes to live an elf life from now on or something.
Yeah. Or he's just Sprocket's buddy.
Yeah, that's the new Jake. The next Jim Henson show is a spin-off of Fraggle Rock. It's just about the dragon living with a normal sitcom family.
And Doc's just like, that cat loves wearing that dragon costume.
But in this moment, the idea that Doc sees that dragon costume and goes, we really got to get you a better costume than this elephant hose you have going on.
Yeah.
And they land on putting a bow in his hair and making him a poodle.
It doesn't work.
That's so much worse of a costume.
Yeah, he looked really not. They didn't put any effort into it.
But Red gets extremely frustrated in this moment because no one's believing her. She doesn't know what to do about it. And she starts to sing because that's how Fraggles express their emotions.
Yeah.
And she sings just a song called People Don't Know about being frustrated, about feeling lost and misunderstood.
Maybe one of the most inconsequential songs we've ever had on Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, there's another one in this batch that I feel like is in the running as well.
This one was really just like, we didn't put a song in this episode yet. I guess we better figure something out.
Well, and it's like a surprisingly upbeat song, like compared to the lyrics.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a little bizarre. I think you're right. It does feel like they just were like, oh, maybe we need a song here. I don't know. What should it be about? I don't know. What's Red doing? Nothing really. Okay, that's fine.
She's milling around.
Yeah. But the dragon ends up coming back into the T. Matthew Fraggle room somehow. And Red tries to convince the dragon to stay and meet Uncle Traveling Matt. And she mentions, stupidly, that amulet marks the portal to where your world is.
Yeah.
And so the dragon immediately makes a break for it. But this is when Uncle Traveling Matt comes back and reveals that he had grabbed the golden apple. So now, Gobo and Matt just believe Red.
But they still think she's lying about the dragon.
Yes. I did like that Gobo, he's usually a good friend in that he will, like, presented with proof, believe you. He doesn't always trust you from the get-go. But he doesn't try to, like, push back on this anymore.
But he's really back on the Uncle Matt Kool-Aid in this episode.
And he does a really weird Uncle Traveling Matt impression.
He does a couple throughout the episode.
But that's, like, the last thing that Fraggles do in this episode.
Yeah.
Is him, like, quoting Matt and laughing like him and then walking off.
It's weird. It's like he's about to start metamorphosizing into Uncle Matt.
This is his puberty.
Uh-huh.
He's going to start growing a white mustache soon.
Ugh, yeah. Oh, imagine him with a little purple mustache. He looks so gross.
Oh, they won't do it. Back to the Rock might eventually.
Yeah.
I love the idea of a puberty episode of Fraggle Rock where Gobo starts growing a little mustache or beard.
A little mustache, yeah.
And Uncle Traveling Matt has to teach him how to shave.
That would be so fun.
But he decides to grow it out a little bit, and like Red makes fun of his little mustache.
Oh yeah, I like that.
I really like that.
Just like a couple little strands of pink wispy hair. That would rule. If you're listening to this, do it. It's not too late.
Come on, John Tartaglia.
Yeah.
Make the puberty episode. Well, Doc and Sprocket come back from the masquerade ball, and Doc once again has some stolen valor going on.
Yeah, he does.
This time,
it's like they thought I was a real football player.
Yeah, apparently he just goes to parties and lies to people about what he's
he's got
doing.
A real problem.
I guess saying like, I live with my dog and we make inventions sometimes. And the last note we go out on is finding out that Fluffinella also went as a toy poodle. So
that would that's a better costume for a cat.
Much better costume.
Yeah, this was not their finest moment. But I think it's frustrating though, because the concept of an episode, like I can see what Jerry was doing, because he likes to like tie in through lines of Fraggle Rock, like Red hates Uncle Matt. So an episode in the last season where Red finally understands what Uncle Matt's all about is a really good idea.
Yeah.
But to make the dragon world was just so, it like was pointless and also confusing, that it was like, just put her somewhere in the real world. Like her and Matt could go on an adventure together out in outer space, and they could learn to understand each other better.
Yeah, what if she goes out and they run into Sprocket the elephant underneath the front porch or something like that, because Sprocket's down there digging for something and they're terrified of this big beast, and that's what makes her, relate to him. And we can even see her being a little bit naive, like Uncle Traveling Matt is, and like not understanding the situation. But she understands now that like, oh, it is scary and weird out there. You are brave for going out there and doing all this stuff, or at least dumb enough to not realize you're near death at all times.
Yeah, because they're not so different from each other.
No, and I think it's weird that it ends how it does, because it does just feel like Red completely forgives Uncle Traveling Matt for all of his shitty behavior throughout this episode.
Yeah, and then also at the same time, now we're in this world where Uncle Matt lives there all the time and is being a dick in a completely different way.
Yeah.
So he's got a whole other sin to be forgiven for that he really can't be forgiven for as much, because he's just being a dick all the time.
Well, what star rating did you give that episode, Sam?
I gave that episode 2 stars.
All right.
I don't know why. It's not a 1-star episode. I feel like we've had 1-star episodes. It was just a little meandering.
I think it takes a lot of the worst things Fraggle Rock does and combines it into one episode, whether it's the not believing somebody, an episode ending on a weird lesson where the person is right doesn't really end up being right.
Yeah.
things we've had problems with in the past,
Right.
sort of all coming together into one episode.
Yeah.
Well, on March 17th, 1986, the episode Wonder Mountain aired, written by Robert Sandler and directed by George Bloomfield. Miss Ardath wants Sprocket to be a guard dog for her vegetable garden because something's been getting into her garden. And Sprocket is viciously excited.
He's ready to kill. He's been training for this.
Well, down at Fraggle Rock, Moki is making a solitary, meditative trip up Wonder Mountain to go see the Aurora Fragalialis.
Mm-hmm.
And is going to attempt this only with a guidebook called Wonder Mountain on 5 Radishes a Day.
What is that a reference to? Just like something on $5 a day? Is that a thing?
Yeah, it feels like definitely some 80s
Some
self-help
kind of
book.
trendy book that was a travel guide that was out.
And Red, is trying to help out Moki at the beginning, tries to give her a safety net, itchy plant lotion, Gaga bug repellent, but Moki will have none of it. All she needs is the guidebook.
Moki just wants to wing it. I really related to this episode. I feel like it's kind of me and you in a way.
I don't
Just like-
disagree, except,
I'm just like, I was going to go.
yeah, but I would just let you go.
Yeah, you wouldn't try to stop me.
Yeah,
And
regardless.
I might even say, Matt, please come with me. And you would say, no.
No.
Okay, well,
You've made this bed. It's time for you to sleep in it.
though I know it's a bad idea, I still won't plan. See you later.
Yeah.
And it all
I
works
guess-
out for me just fine.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're not dead yet. Well, Red promises that she'll trust Moki to take care of herself, and Red agrees to plant sit for Lanford. But Red, surprise, is actually really worried about Moki and decides she is going to secretly follow her and leave Boober, Wembley, and Gobo in charge of Lanford.
And they could have just left it there, but they
They
don't.
could have. I did like when Boober is having the conversation with Red about the terrible things that could happen to Moki while she's out there.
That was good.
He says she could get beamed on the head by a gigantic chestnut and go insane.
And that happens to him in a couple
It
episodes.
does. That's where they got the idea.
Yeah.
So even though Red knows she's violating her promise, she does decide to secretly follow after Moki to make sure she's safe. And we get a delightfully short Moki song called Just Don't Know What Time It Is. And this is the other one I was going to put up there for least consequential Fraggle Rock song.
Yeah, but I'm in love with Moki, so she can
Oh,
sing
yeah, I
whatever song
forgot.
she wants to sing.
The only thing this song really does is show that Red is like 3 feet behind Moki at all times
Yeah.
as she's trying to secretly follow her.
Well, the set's only so big, Matt.
Well, but she also sometimes gets really far ahead of her,
Yeah.
and I'm not really sure how.
I think the implication is that she's so dinged up because she climbed some stuff she wouldn't normally have had to, and like ran some places she wouldn't. She was like cutting through brambles and
Right.
stuff like that.
Taking bad, like scary shortcuts to
Yeah.
make
That was
things
the thing
safer for
where
Moki.
I was like, I rewound and was like, did they mention how she got ahead of her? No, but she's just kind of rushing, I think.
Yeah.
But also,
Red
Moki singing an inconsequential song is like not annoying to me because it is in character. Like if Red's gonna sing, I feel like there needs to be a really good reason for her to sing.
Yeah, and Moki has a lot of these inconsequential songs where she's
Right.
just sort of walking
She's just
through the
like,
cave.
La, 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 la. Yeah.
Well, we do cut back briefly to show the guys hanging out with the baby sitcom plot. But it's just not that interesting or funny. So the show moves along quickly, and I feel like we also probably should.
One thing I did actually, going back to that song real quick, I think that the puppetry did a really good job of getting across that like this whole episode does, that Moki's just breezing through everything and Red is having a lot of trouble with everything. I just found that really impressive for some reason, just like the visual storytelling of that.
Yeah, I think it is by the end, it obviously is a bit more on the nose because it's Fraggle Rock and they have to be.
Yeah.
But along the way, it is pretty subtle in the way that Red is trying to make things better for Moki, but is just getting into more and more trouble herself.
Yeah. And this has there's some cool puppetry moments in this episode, like the invisible bridge sequence, just like all together is really cool.
Yeah, the next thing that happens is Red falls onto the invisible bridge, and clearly they just have like a piece of plexiglass between
In front of the
Red
camera. Yeah.
and the camera. And so we just see a smushed Red face against the invisible bridge. But then she decides to hang from a vine because she's going to,
She's like pulling a vine over the bridge so Moki can see where the bridge is.
yeah, and then she falls off of it and is hanging off the invisible bridge.
Yeah.
And then Moki walks in and lay some lore on us, saying that the bridge was built in the last age by the magician doozers.
Wow.
I would
Great
love to learn
line.
more about the magician
Great
doozers.
line, yeah.
I don't think that's in that children's show about the doozers. I don't imagine they talk about the magician doozers on that.
No. I mean, she could have just said also, like, this is made from doozer sticks, like, so pure that they are completely invisible to the naked eye, which would have been a little less like, what are you talking about? But I do like
Yeah.
the wizard doozers also. The magician doozers?
Yeah,
The
magician doozers. Which I'm guessing were probably wizards. Like, magicians, spoiler alert, aren't actually magic.
That's kind of fun, though, that they're just like, I don't know. Doozers don't have magic, so they would have to be magicians, I feel like.
Well, I'm saying maybe the ancestors
These ones
did.
They wouldn't. I feel like the doozers would think that was unseemly in
That's why they
retrospect.
ran them out of town.
We don't talk about that anymore, yeah.
Magician doozers are unsightly ancestors that are brushed under the carpet these days.
Mhm.
Well, Moki sees the vines and is kind of like, ugh, who's dirtying the invisible bridge? And kicks the vine off, dooming Red to a certain death.
She just kind of falls not very far into some water, it seems like.
Well, yeah, but it seems like we don't see her land in that shot.
No, but I think we hear her splash within like a 1 millisecond of getting kicked off the thing. So
Well.
the downside of falling off the invisible bridge is not really that much of a problem.
Well, Doc is sending Sprocket out to be the guard dog, but he's also worried about Sprocket, just like Red is worried about Moki.
Yeah, I liked the Stock and Sprocket plot.
He sends his dog away a lot, just like
Yeah.
like untethered, unsupervised, just like, yeah, go do your stuff, dog. Come back in a few hours, I guess. But Doc starts to worry that there might be a fox or a bobcat or a grizzly bear or a huge animal that escaped from the circus.
Yeah, speaking of, did you see the elephant in Butte?
Breaking news,
Yeah.
Montana news.
An elephant escaped from the circus in Butte.
In Butte, Montana.
Had like a nice stroll down the street. And there's video of it. And of a very Butte-like lady saying, there's a fucking elephant. If you watch that video, you'll understand everything you need to know about the town I grew up in. Everybody talks like that.
I think she's even less startled than what you just did in the impression.
Yeah.
She's like,
she's
there's a fucking elephant.
There's a fucking elephant. And she's kind of like backing her car up away from the elephant, just like, ha ha ha. Death means nothing to us in Butte, basically.
I think she even says, only in Butte.
Yep. And it's not stampeding or anything. It's just really just like moseying down the street. But
yeah, I did end up reading a little bit more about that. Thankfully, they got the elephant back to its caretakers like within 10 minutes, it was back. But this is like the third time that elephant has escaped from that circus in like the last 10, 15 years.
Crafty elephant or bad cage?
I'm going to guess bad circus because they're still using elephants.
That's true.
And the last 2 times it escaped, it hurt itself.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, so they are still using elephants. The same elephant. We should break the elephant out.
That's what I was saying. Butte should have banded together and just said, this is our elephant now.
Just like straight up, like, like a Blues Brothers car escaping the police. Just like steer it into a garage, quickly close the garage and just be like, what elephant? We didn't see any elephant here.
There's so many big empty buildings in Butte that an elephant would fit in just fine for the whole winter. Part of our taxes could go to heating the elephant shelter, buying it peanuts. You apparently have to wash elephants every day, we learned, so you'd have to buy...
That's why it escaped. It was being washed outside and then was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, Butte should have saved that elephant. But anyway, all that is to say, an elephant can escape from the circus.
That's
a
true.
Creature and attack Sprocket, so Doc's right.
That'd be... we see in the video that the elephant is walking towards the town pump gas station convenience store.
Yeah.
Imagine you're in that town pump buying a bag of Cheetos. You turn to go walk out the door and you literally see Jumanji happening in front of you.
The saddest thing about all this is that, besides the elephant shouldn't be at the circus, is that could have so easily been me that I can't easily imagine that because I have been at that town pump millions of times.
And never once seen an elephant.
I drove down that street every day of my life for the first 18 years of my life.
But getting back to Fraggle Rock, Red's looking rough as she climbs back up from her fall off the invisible bridge. And then Red, of course, stumbles across the singing cacti.
They don't read as cacti to me. They kind of look like ginger with nipples.
Yeah, you're not wrong. If you were going to, There's a weird, I think there's like a ginger company or something, or a ginger beer
Yes, with
company.
sexy ginger.
I wasn't going to say sexy, but you said sexy. I was just going to say like humanoid. And that is what they look like.
Doesn't it have boobs?
I can't imagine it has boobs.
Oh, what am I thinking of? Because it doesn't.
You're thinking
right.
of the Gin Jin's original Ginger Chews guy, I believe.
I feel like I can picture a ginger with boobs. I mean, I know I can because I'm doing it right now. But
This is the perfect test of like, do you actually see an image in your head, or can you not imagine images in your head test thing?
yeah, she has eye makeup on, so I can picture this in my head clearly. But it's not this guy; it's his wife, probably. Forget I said that, everybody. There's no sexy ginger with boobs, and if there is, just send me a picture.
I'm the one who checks the inbox, so
don't
do
send
that.
Matt a picture. Never
And
mind.
also, probably don't Google sexy ginger boobs.
Yeah, because you'll find ginger from Gilligan's Island at best.
Ginger is also a phrase that people use to refer to redheaded people, Sam.
Yeah.
So don't Google those words, audience.
Okay, I won't do it right now, but I'll do it when we're done.
Well, these singing cacti that might look like sexy ginger do end up capturing Red. The cactuses start singing their lovely song, Do the Sachet.
It's a cool song, and they really suck you right in.
Well, they just actually reused this song again in the Back to the Rock, the new season. Ariana DeBose sings this song.
Is it an evil song in that too?
No, it's like she's a Fraggle pop star doing a
Oh,
concert, and she
that
sings
makes
this
sense.
song.
Yeah.
But it's a great song for the cacti. I wouldn't want to leave.
No, I wouldn't want to either. They seem like they're having a lot of fun.
And then we get maybe the most perplexing moment of this episode for me.
Uh-huh.
Moki walks in, sees Red's in trouble. And what does she do, Sam?
Puts radishes in her ears.
Where does she put them?
In her... Oh, yeah. Where her ears are, I guess.
Have you ever once thought about where Fraggle ears are?
No. I guess they're just there. Just holes. Just holes.
I guess they're like frogs. Like just a little like sound circle behind your eyes, I guess.
Yeah.
We see her cover the sides of Red's head and to like get her away from the cactus. And Red says, "You can take your hands off my ears now."
Ah.
And like Moki, there's hair. There's deniability. That maybe there's ears under there.
Yeah.
Red is not covering the side of her head with anything. So we just see the earless head of a Fraggle.
These guys don't have ears, that's for sure.
But somewhere they're absorbing some sound through the side of their head. But that's when Moki confronts Red about what she's doing out here. Red lies, saying she just wanted to take the trip to see the cool things that Moki was getting to see.
Mm-hmm.
And Red immediately takes charge and doesn't let Moki do what she wants to do because Red is terrible, at least in this episode. Not every episode.
Yeah. I mean, this is not like a traveling Matt situation or anything where I feel like she's acting out of character, though.
No. This feels very much like something Red would do. So Moki and Red wander into the home of the bone-crushing avalanche monster. Didn't see this coming.
No.
Gotta say.
And this guy's crazy, and he has glasses on.
Yeah, because he's got bad eyesight.
I really like that. I feel like something that in a old like LucasArts adventure game or something where you have to like notice that he had glasses on and then
Yeah, I wrote in my
something based
notes,
on that.
this feels like a video game boss.
Yeah.
Because even when he's attacking, he runs in a straight line after making a very loud noise. And
Yeah.
you're like, okay, so I just moved to the left a little bit.
Yeah.
And he won't get me.
But like a video game, like one of those video games like that you can't really fight in, you have to just figure out like how to trick the thing into like, you know what I mean? Like they're not going to kill him. They're just going to make him fall in a hole or something.
Moki once again saves Red by pulling her out of the way of the monster. And then they read the guidebook, which turns out to be extremely helpful because it says that the avalanche monster has bad eyes but great hearing. So they pop some radishes in their ears or onto the sides of their head holes and lure him into the land of singing cacti.
I can like feel the sensation of what it would be like to have tiny radishes in my ear. That's very evocative to me for some reason.
I don't like it now.
It's not good,
No.
but I can feel it.
Because they would have to be like old, moldy-ish radishes to like soften up.
Babies. Oh, to soften up.
Yeah, if they're too hard, you can't shove them in there.
Unless your ears are really squishy, like the Fraggles' ears probably are.
Well,
I don't like
any
that
of it.
Okay.
So they somehow end up climbing to the top of Wonder Mountain together, and they see the Aurora Fragglialis. and we watch them watch it for a very long time.
It's nice. I like this. I think it's nice
Man.
to have a couple beats of like anime, like just like when Wembley flew, when it's just like we're just meditating in this moment.
Maybe I felt like it wasn't earned. Like I felt like if we had had more of a moment with them talking through their issues, that this felt like
Okay.
they were having like a nice meditative friendship moment together. But we get instead like one line where they're like, you know what? I'm glad you came with me.
Yeah, but I guess when you start from the baseline of they are best friends and have been for their entire lives,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. I guess we'll get to what I thought about it in a second.
Yeah, the end of this is pretty much just that. And then Doc comes in and we find out that he also shouldn't have bothered worrying about Sprocket because he just ended up getting in the way and getting sprayed by a skunk.
So I thought this episode earned everything that it got at the end because I feel like there was a really strong. They did a good job setting up like Red being meddling, and there was a bunch of lessons of like sometimes you can take advice from like other sources like the guidebook, and sometimes you shouldn't be so overwhelming to your friends and you're not always right. I felt like it was a very dense episode without feeling like preachy or I don't know, it just all felt very natural to me.
Yeah. I did not hate this episode. I think I hated the B plot so much
Yeah.
that that annoyed me quite a bit. And I didn't love the Doc and Sprocket stuff that much either. I feel like especially when it ended, it just I don't know. It didn't feel as final as the Moki and Red resolution.
Right.
Um,
Right. Where Sprocket, there could have been another beat where Sprocket is kind of annoyed, or like where he's annoyed at Doc for coming with him or something like that. I don't know.
I feel like the skunk could have just as easily sprayed Sprocket.
Yeah.
Like I'm not
Well,
like
and in the
I don't know.
end, they're both running away and scared, I think. And Doc's like, "Is that you, Sprocket? Remember?" So I don't know. It's like nobody learned a lesson in that
Yeah, there's a
situation.
moment where like Doc runs away and closes the door behind him, and then almost doesn't let Sprocket
Yeah.
in.
It's like, "Are
He's
you
like holding the
alone?"
doggy door shut. So he actually makes life even worse for Sprocket than Red makes it for Moki.
Right. But I gave that one 3.5 stars, and I dinged it a half star for the B plot. That was
Yeah.
completely unnecessary because more moments of Red and Moki on their journey would have been much better than seeing these idiots in Lanford.
Well, our third episode of the week is Space Frog Follies from March 24th, 1986, written by David Young, directed by George Bloomfield. It's another one of those times when Muppet Wiki lets us know something that we can no longer ignore while we watch the episode. It says Rob Mills fills in as the puppeteer for Gobo in this episode, lip
Yeah.
syncing to Jerry Nelson's voice.
There's times when Gobo emotes more than I would think he would emote.
There's also times when Jerry doesn't sound like Gobo to me.
Oh, weird. I didn't notice.
I feel
that
like
as
there's
much.
a couple times, especially early on in like the exposition conversation that kicks off every Fraggle Rock episode, that it doesn't sound like Jerry's quite locked in to his Gobo performance. And I'm
Huh.
wondering if it's because, he's not on set. Maybe he's off in a booth somewhere recording
Yeah.
it.
Or he had to do it fast and then go do whatever he had to do or something.
Yeah. So there's just a couple times where not only the puppetry feels a little different, but also the dialogue sounds a little different.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if I would have noticed had I not read that on Muppet Wiki before watching it, but I
Yeah.
definitely noticed after I read it.
Yeah.
Well, it's autumn for Doc and Sprocket, and Doc mentions that he borrowed a sweater from Ned the other day when they went on a walk, which is very sweet.
Earlier in the season, it was winter already, I think.
Well, I think
So-
it was about to be autumn, actually, so I feel like this actually lines up.
Oh,
I feel like he was saying, like, oh, there's a crisp in the air, Sprocket.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, he and Ned do have a beautiful friendship in this episode.
Yeah, the idea, that they're on a walk and Doc's like, I'm a bit chilly.
Cold.
And Ned's like, I got my dumb best friend sweater with me, so you can borrow this.
Here.
And yeah, we see some more uncharacteristic negative behavior from Sprocket here, who's just ripping this thing to shreds.
I think he's supposed to be like he's absent-mindedly chewing on his blanket and just got mixed up.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
but-
But who knows? He hates Ned Schimmelfinney though.
I feel like it's too much of a normal dog behavior for Sprocket to do. Well, at the end of that, when Doc realizes what's happened, he picks it up and says, Ned's granny in Scotland knitted this. Is Ned's granny still alive?
Probably
Or
not.
is it
They're extremely
right?
old men.
Right. Are we making this like sadder even? That like, and she's dead, Sprocket. You really fucked up. Well, down in Fraggle Rock, Gobo's making party food for a surprise party for himself.
It's so pathetic. He's like carving such a nice melon too, though.
I feel like, yeah, he's like carving a nice little like basket out of watermelon or something.
Yeah,
But I also feel like Gobo is the friend who doesn't trust any of his friends to throw a good party.
that's true.
And so he's like, I'm just going to do this because you all will suck at this. You'll mess it up somehow. So don't worry. I've
Yeah,
got this.
and actually, he's not planning his own surprise party because Matt didn't plan one for him. He does know that he needs to do it himself. He gets
Yeah.
disappointed later when Matt can't come to the surprise party,
Right. Everyone is aware that
you're
Gobo
right.
is throwing himself a surprise party.
And he's fine with it. And he's planned all the stuff he likes to do the best.
Yeah. But this is when Uncle Traveling Matt says he has unfinished business in outer space and can't be there for Gobo's birthday.
Which is
He
very
pulls-
foreboding before you learn what the unfinished business is. It's like he owes money to some bad people.
Or he has someone to kill. He's been hired as a hitman.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, now I have access to all these other places through my room. So he pulls Wembley aside here for a little private chat because it turns out he actually does want to have a surprise party for Gobo, but he had to disappoint him first. Uncle Matt got Gobo a space frog for his birthday, and so Matt needs to return to outer space to get flies because they have to feed the frog, and it's not fly season in Fraggle Rock.
I just love the concept of them being like, this frog can't talk? What the fuck?
I love how much they say space frog.
It's fun that they have their own thing that they must call frogs, which are just puppet frogs who can talk to them.
That's a very good point.
They know what a frog is in their context, for sure.
It's a bit like, in the Adventure Zone when they're like, Fantasy Costco.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, we can't say real Costco. That doesn't exist in this universe.
And then when they meet Kermit and Muppet Family Christmas, they're like, at last, a normal frog.
Well, Wembley brings the space frog to show Boober, and Boober doesn't want any of it because it's
tracks.
covered in slime.
Frogs are disgusting. I find frogs disgusting.
If only he had a hidey hole where
I
you can hide this
know.
frog.
If only you had the perfect vault to keep it in where you never had to even look at it.
But his friends demolished that.
Oh, they destroyed it. I totally forgot they destroyed it.
Well, they didn't
So,
really
yeah.
destroy it. It was an accident, but
Yeah.
it did get destroyed.
A series of events that they all collectively started caused
Yes.
its destruction.
Had Wembley not sneezed and popped the old blue rolly behind a cave wall, it never would have fallen. But speaking of Wembley messing things up, he drops the jar and the frog escapes.
That's too mean on Wembley, I think. I mean, he does do that, but he's trying to confide in his friend who betrays him.
Yeah, but Wembley bugged the hell out of me in this episode. He is obnoxious.
Oh,
The entire episode, he's just screaming
that
and
is accurate.
lying. So
Yeah.
when you just have a person just screaming and lying at me for 30 minutes, I'm gonna get annoyed.
Okay, fair enough.
But now there's an invasive species in Fraggle Rock. Well, we learned that Gobo is really bummed out about not getting to have his party that he was planning for himself. And so Wembley and Red are going to try to cheer him up by balancing pickles on their noses. But then we get to see the corner of Wembley's eye, the frog, who has made it into a doozer mobile as a doozer pushes this frog, again, a real frog, along its little doozer track and then just dumps him off a
Dumps
ledge.
him off a cliff, and then he says, "You're welcome."
And then Wembley catches up to this little asshole doozer and says, have you seen a little green creature about yay big? And he goes, yeah, my mother.
This is the best doozer of all doozers. They just throw the frog off a cliff.
Yeah, there is no indication of how far that frog just fell.
I looked at Muppet Wiki because I wanted to see if there was a trivia that was like, they killed 5 frogs while they were doing this.
I was pretty convinced there was at least 2 different frogs in this episode because they look a
Yeah.
little different at some points. And I don't know if that's just, the lighting or if they actually were like, shit. Maybe we threw that frog off the cliff too early. I had a frog one time. I couldn't even touch it because human oils would just kill it.
Yeah.
So I really don't think you're supposed to drop them off of a puppet
No, I think you
car.
should just leave frogs alone.
Yeah, you hear that? That's our lesson.
They're barely hanging on as it is.
Well, speaking of barely hanging on, Doc is attempting to knit Ned a new sweater, but turns out Doc doesn't know how to knit at all. But he lies on the phone to Ned, saying that he sent the sweater to the cleaners and they'll have his sweater back to him within the hour.
Don't set yourself up for that.
That's not how you lie, Doc. You don't lie by saying, yeah, the Slayer destroyed it. You'll have it within the hour. You say later this week at
Yeah.
best.
Give it a week at least.
At least then you can maybe like hire Miss Ardath to come in and knit one for you.
Yep.
But even more shocking than that, we return to Fraggle Rock, and Wembley is wearing a fly costume, trying to lure the frog out of the pond, which we
A really
learn
good
it
one.
safely fell into, I guess.
Yeah. That is kind of glazed over, but also the fly costume is so good.
It's so good. And even better is the bug costumes that everyone gets
Yeah.
later on. That makes it
They
feel
get
like everyone
bug
just
fever.
had bug costumes lying around. But Moki comes in saying she had a vision of a shiny green creature with bulging eyes. And then I literally wrote in my notes, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, it gets really confusing at this part, and I had to watch it a couple times because it's just like so many coincidences of losing this frog and finding this frog that it is genuinely confusing, like hard to keep track of how many times they lose it, which seems like an infinite number of times. And then when they find it, they just kind of accidentally find it. It's like in that basket, but they never
Yeah.
say the frog's in that basket.
Yeah, it's just a lot of chaos and not in a fun, Muppety chaos kind of way. It's just a
Yeah.
lot of people yelling over each other kind of way.
And nothing that they do actually leads to them finding the frog. Like he dresses up in this fly costume, but that doesn't help.
No.
Like obviously it wouldn't help, but that doesn't even indirectly help. It's just Moki saying, "I saw it."
Yeah. This is where suddenly everyone is dressed up like bugs and sings insect rock because apparently Wembley started a new dance craze.
I really loved this moment because this feels like a very Simpson-y kind of moment to me, where just like a Fraggle comes up dressed in the bug costume and he's like, "Wembley, you've done it. You've invented the best dance of all time. Come do the dance for us." And Wembley's like, "Okay, I guess I have to. I'm juggling." It's like a Frasier episode, like a comedy of errors where everything's unraveling at the end, and he's just got to hang with it.
Well, much like The Simpsons, some terrible side characters might come out of the woodwork to sing in the song
Yeah.
because we have Marlin and Large Marvin singing, which is not
Yep.
something I would have expected or particularly wanted to see.
I think this is a good song for Marlon to sing though. His little creepy Halloween guy voice is good for a bug song.
But there's a moment that happens after this song that solidified so much for me about Fraggle Rock and made the most sense of anything we've seen in any of the other episodes.
Okay.
Uncle Traveling Matt comes back and specifically goes, "Marlin, what's going on?" And of course, he's friends with Marlin. Of all the Fraggles.
It was bizarre that he even knew Marlon's name.
Yeah.
But maybe once upon a time Marlon was his Wembley.
I think maybe Uncle Traveling Matt and Marlin got a secret plot on their hands to overthrow
take
Fraggle
over?
Rock. Why do you think Uncle
Take
Traveling Matt
over.
came back?
The world's oldest Fraggle, he's unfit to rule.
We haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
At least not
he's-
in a consequential way. He did come in last batch and say, "I can't sleep."
Yeah. People are starting to ask where the world's oldest Fraggle is, and Marlon and Matt, they have a plot.
They've already killed him.
Oh no.
They're going to weekend at Bernie's him. But he asks Wembley for the space frog, but Boober and the frog have disappeared because Boober went to let the frog out near the hole to outer space so it would escape. So Wembley is going to run out to outer space to get the frog, but luckily it croaks behind him because it didn't
Yeah.
actually escape.
There's one too many things happening in this episode as we talk about it.
There's like 12, I think,
Yeah.
at least. Too many things happening in this episode. And a lot of, again, just like you said, they don't really do anything to affect it. Things just sort of
Uh-huh.
work out. Like the frog didn't escape. So Wembley just is like, oh, okay. I guess I don't have to summon up the courage to go out to outer space. And this is when Wembley goes and gets the frog back in the jar via a jump cut. Because we see him weasel his way into a hole, and then we have to like cut out of the hole and then cut back into the hole.
Yeah,
And now the
too
frog is in the
hard.
jar
Too
because
hard.
a Fraggle can't scoop up a frog.
No.
This is when Wembley realizes that, I don't like being separated from my friends, and I assume you don't like being separated from your friends. Creatures
Basically,
belong in the space where they come from.
Completely out of nowhere. There is no setup for this at all.
Yeah,
Is
no.
there?
No, not at all. He just
Okay.
realizes it. Like, upon achieving his goal for the entire episode, he just suddenly wakes up and is like, oh, maybe this isn't good.
Maybe I'm doing the wrong thing.
So he lets the frog go. The frog hops out into the workshop, wakes up Sprocket. Sprocket's startled and captures it under his bowl. And then the Fraggles turn around and are like, I think it's Gobo specifically, is like, yeah, the frog will be just fine. As I'm like, I don't know if that's true yet.
The frog was immediately eaten by a dog.
If he'll eat a blanket, he'll eat a frog.
Yeah.
And then we go back up to Doc and Sprocket and learn that Ned actually liked the chewed up sweater because he's sentimental about the stains and tears his best friends leave on his gross best friend sweater.
That's disgusting.
Yep. It suddenly would make me question everything that had happened to that sweater before I got to borrow it.
Yeah, my gross old man friends, they're all doing nasty things to this sweater, and I love it.
So many boogers.
At best, boogers.
Well, Doc finds the frog underneath Sprocket's bowl and releases it into the backyard, encouraging it to sing Ned to sleep, because apparently Ned has a pond in his backyard.
Okay, when you say it all out loud, it's fucking weird.
Well, and also, what a shitty friend thing. That makes sense for Doc to do.
Yeah.
But, like, here, it's like as if
Here's
he
a-
bought, like, Ned a rooster as a gift.
Here's a loud animal that wakes you up at night.
And this is when Doc is releasing the frog and says that it doesn't belong in the workshop and apparently now is tied to the Fraggle plot.
Yeah, boy. Okay.
What'd you rate that one?
I gave it 3 stars. I liked it better before we started talking about it, but I did think it was fun, and I just loved the conceit of Wembley stumbling into inventing the new dance craze in town. That part was so entertaining to me that I think I forgave it a lot of its sins. I do think it's also interesting that Boober is just straight up antagonistic in this episode, and nobody ever confronts him about it, and he
It's a
never
little
has
side
to.
bottomy.
Yeah, he never apologizes for his actions or anything. He's just like, I did what I did and I'd do it again. I hate this frog. But you
Well-
didn't like that episode. Is that right?
Yeah, no, I don't think I liked it much at all.
Okay. It's the meanest thing you've ever said in your life.
I think it just goes back to the yelling and lying and just
Yeah.
like Wembley wasn't a very annoying character and he's the main character in that episode.
Yeah.
And so for most of it, I just wanted to like turn it off. Like it wasn't an episode I wanted to watch as I was watching it.
Yeah, I think I definitely can see what you're saying. That didn't occur to me while I was watching it, but I can see that.
I think, yeah, it annoyed me in a different way than the previous one. Like the previous one, having that B plot annoyed me because it just didn't matter at all and then didn't
Yeah.
have an ending. This
But
one
it was
annoyed
boring,
me
not
throughout.
annoying.
Yeah. This one
Yeah.
annoyed me throughout because of just Wembley being the chaotic self. And then I think that scene that we talked about where Moki comes in and is like, I saw a vision of a frog and everything just devolves into chaos. That scene
Yeah.
really just like, I think turned me against the episode for the rest of it.
Good point. Yeah, that's true.
Well, getting to our last episode of the week and of season 4 of Fraggle Rock, we have Boober Gorg from March 31st, 1986. This was my favorite of the 4 episodes. I wrote my notes. Good job, Sujith. 'Cause
Yeah.
old friend of the podcast, Sujith Varghese, wrote this episode. It was directed by Terry Maskell. And yeah, this is, I think, a really, I'll speak for myself, a very good episode, very interesting episode, especially with where it lands as far as the lesson goes.
I think I'm a little lost on what the lesson was supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, we will get into that a bit more because
Okay.
we first start off with Doc consoling Ned on the phone because Ned's worried about Fluffinella being at the vet. And Doc wants to think of something to cheer up Ned, so he suggests Sprocket go over and pretend to be a cat for the day.
Yeah, you know the dog that hates you?
Well, I think he hates Fluffinella more,
Yeah,
and maybe hates Ned because of Fluffinella. But
I guess so.
Sprocket does seem unimpressed by Ned Schimmelfinney in this episode.
Well, whenever they mention his name, it's like a reoccurring thing that Sprocket goes like, yeah, you know? He's always hated Ned.
Yeah, I don't know if it's what that is, what happened there.
Yeah, what Ned did.
What's the bad blood between Ned and Sprocket?
But they got beef for sure.
Clearly overcame it, though, by the time Sprocket comes back from Ned's house.
Yeah.
So maybe Fluffinella is the problem. Well, down in Fraggle Rock, Boober is cutting down on fried foods and is working on a new way to cook radishes.
Yeah, apparently they've all been eating fried foods the whole time.
Yeah. So he invents an Instapot. And they're leaning really hard in this episode into Boober's whole thing is that he loves cooking radishes.
He loves radishes. Radishes are my life, he says multiple times.
Yeah. Which I get. Like, this is not that far out of character. but you can feel that they're setting up something
Yeah,
because of
because
how much they're leaning into it.
they got to pull off that switch when he thinks he's a Gorg,
Mm.
and it's effective.
Yeah, the radish flies out, hits Boober on the head, and of course, he wakes up with amnesia, not knowing who he is, where he is. Red says that bump on the bean gave him amnesia.
They said bump on the bean twice in this batch of episodes. Because they could get, well, they said bean at least, because Boober says he could get bumped on the bean and go insane.
He said she could get beamed on the head.
Oh, okay. Different
So,
usage of bean. Bean
yeah.
can either mean the thing that hits you or the thing getting hit.
You can get beamed in the bean.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a great language English is, huh?
Versatile legume, versatile word.
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, Ma and Pa are worried. Well, Pa is worried about an evil sorcerer who's supposed to reappear, according to the Encyclopedia of Gorgish Myth and Wisdom. And Ma is worried about getting her chores done.
Yeah, Ma just thinks Pa is trying to, it's like,
That weaponized incompetence.
yeah, but I'm trying to think of what it's like a chore day, but you get really involved with like sorting out your DVD collection or something. Like it's really important I do this one inconsequential thing
Right.
while you do the rest of the work. But it is funny that Ma is just like spots the evil wizard as a complete smokescreen for shirking his responsibilities.
Yeah, she calls him out a
immediately.
couple times and eventually just sort of gives up on like,
Yeah.
all right, well, clearly this is what you're going to do instead.
Yeah,
So
and even if there is an evil wizard, we'll just have more for dinner. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
You completely glossed over the amazing song that they sing with Boober, though, or have they sang that yet?
they're about to,
Okay.
because they try to remind Boober that he loves laundry and cooking. And so they sing an adorable song all about who Boober is, which, if any one of my friends ever wants to write an adorable song
About who Matt is?
about me,
I think that would be insulting. I wouldn't want to be seen that like that.
that's true.
You
I
know?
guess if my friends were singing to me, I love to wash socks, that's what I adore. Killing germs and cooking, that's what life is for. I am Boober Fraggle and I live right here. It's a little reductive.
But for him, it's true. Imagine if they sang you that song and they just were wrong about the stuff that you like the most. That would be sad. Be like, nobody really knows the real me.
I mean, I hadn't even had that fear before.
That's what I think about all the time.
Well, Boober doesn't quite hear the song the same way that they sung it. And he sings his own version, which includes lines like, I'm a little stew pot, laundry is my name. Boo-boos are my job here, la la not the same. And
It's
then,
so good.
I love to squash rocks, sitting on the floor, cooking little Fraggles, that's what life is for. As he picks up Wembley and
To
tries
drag him towards the pot.
he's gonna cook and eat Wembley.
I like when he says cooking little Fraggles too, all of his friends go, huh.
It's so
They're-
visceral. You can immediately picture what he's about to do to Wembley.
You really can. And Boober is the only one unhinged enough that this is going to happen if you don't stop it.
I feel like Moki could be talked into eating a Fraggle.
Maybe Moki second place, but Boober just has this unstoppable force thing behind him where he is, I don't know, there's just something different about Boober. You can't negotiate with Boober.
I feel like Boober is maybe, if we're saying like how old the Fraggles are, he feels like the slightly older one and maybe more of a Fraggle of conviction in a
Yeah.
way. Or like
Yeah.
once he decides on something, he's gonna do it.
Yeah, maybe he's like almost from like a different generation or something. There's one also when they're looking for Junior Gorg. There's one very sad line where Pa's like, "Where's Junior?" And Ma says he's probably in the swamp talking to his reflection. Which you know that have you ever seen that SNL skit that's like wishing wells for little boys and they like can look into it and talk to their reflection?
Yeah,
Have you ever
yeah,
seen that
yeah.
before?
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
play school wishing well for sad boys.
I mean, Junior is a sad boy. He has no friends.
Yeah.
His mom is his best friend and only friend.
And she knows that also that he's a loser.
His second best friend is a radish.
His wife is a radish, not even just his best friend.
Well, the word radish sparks something for Boober, so the Fraggles decide to take him to the Gorg's garden. And this is when we do see Pa actually show genuine concern for Junior, which was a little surprising.
Mm-hmm.
I do really like Pa and Ma in this episode specifically.
Me too, a really good Pa and Ma episode. Probably maybe the best Pa and Ma episode.
I think it's because they each get to be a little bit more than their sort of generic roles they usually fall into. They actually
Yeah.
get some character and personality.
Yeah.
Whereas normally it's pretty predictable of what they're going to say. So the Fraggles get to the exit to the Gorg garden. Boober sort of starts to remember things. He remembers the word Gorg when they say that. And meanwhile, at the same time this is happening, Ma and Pa start to talk about what if the sorcerer changed Junior into a horrible, ugly creature.
Convenient thing to start wondering about at this
Yeah.
particular moment.
At the same moment, Boober realizes that he has strong feelings about Gorgs and says, radishes and Gorgs are my life. This can only mean one thing. I am a Gorg.
It's like an SAT question.
If radishes and Gorgs are Boober's life, and radishes are also Gorg's life, Boober, by the transitive property of Fraggles, must be a Gorg.
He's not wrong. He would have got that question correct.
So Boober walks out, proudly proclaims, it's good to be home. Haven't you ever seen a Gorg before? When they question what's going on. And Ma and Pa immediately buy it, saying the sorcerer has changed our son into a Fraggle. But, again, a little out of character, but I loved it. Pa says, although Junior is now a Fraggle, he is still our son and still
Yeah.
heir to the throne.
Pa's a Homer Simpson type of dad who
Yeah.
maybe is abusive.
But he hasn't always been a Homer Simpson. He's sometimes been
Yes.
just abusive.
Been just bad, yeah.
I did like when at one point they mentioned Fraggles. Boober's like, what's a Fraggle? And Pa says, why is he even dumber than he used to be?
Yeah, the script does a good job of skirting around why he doesn't remember anything at all. It doesn't really like draw a lot of attention to that.
No, and it lets Ma and Pa like buy in so quickly on everything. Like
Yeah.
they don't question it for a second
Uh-huh.
that is just Junior in a Fraggle body. But they tell Boober what a Fraggle is, and that's this terrible little creatures who make life awful for Gorgs. And so, of
Mhm.
course, now Boober is brainwashed and
Yep,
believes
he's
that Fraggles are awful. There is a few weird moments in this episode that I feel like a scene had to be cut out for time.
Uh-huh.
Not that they like filmed it and cut it out, but that like in the script there was going to be another scene to bridge things a little better. Because the next thing we get is Pa just sunbathing out in the garden in sunglasses and a lovely little hat. And Boober brings him a glass of freshly squeezed garlic juice. I feel like it almost feels like it's written as if this was supposed to be a few days that Boober was living with the Gorgs, but because the whole plot is that Junior just fell asleep on the roof, it only can be like a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So there's
So
just
he's
a
already
few
tilled the fields and done a bunch of chores.
Right. So it just feels like there's a few like time passing moments that I'm like, I have no idea how long it's been since that last thing, but clearly
Yeah.
time has passed. But after he helps out Pa with his drink, he has to go help Ma cook dinner, and thankfully he's retained his cooking wisdom.
I love Junior and Ma moments, and I love this fake Junior and Ma moment too.
So even though Boober did retain his cooking wisdom, he does lose his balance and falls off the pantry into a bucket of cereal. And for a moment, I was like, oh, this is how he's going to get his memory back. And then he's going to be stuck in the Gorg world trying to pretend to be Junior. I feel like maybe they knew that the viewer would think that because they play with that a little bit in like a really clever way when Boober captures the Fraggles. Because to me, I'm like, okay, he got hit on the head. He got amnesia. So he falls off a thing. This is going to bring it back.
And then cooks up a scheme to get himself back with his
Right.
friends. Right.
So he helps Ma build a Fraggle trap to catch the Fraggles in the radish patch. And the Fraggles bring a net and a rope because they're going to capture Boober.
This is the part where he's just like standing there bossing them both around. And they're both like, all right, you're the boss. Even Pa's like going out on patrol at his beck and call, which is kind of scary that Boober commands such power.
Yeah, I think Pa says something along the lines of like, I miss when he was dumb or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he realizes he is losing power here. But when the Fraggles go to catch Boober, he says, is this any way to treat a friend? And suddenly he acknowledges that he is a Fraggle. And I was like, aha, I was right. He did get his memory back.
You also would have been trapped in
I'm a real gobo because it turns out Boober was lying. This was a trap to capture the Fraggles And I think that moment is just one where I want to give Sujith a little pat on the back because I think it's really well written.
I also think Boober in this moment is like the second most devious character in the entire history of Fraggle
After Wandering
Rock.
McMooch.
Behind Wander McMooch, I think this is the most evil thing that happens on Fraggle Rock.
I mean, he does
probably.
allude multiple times to eating and cooking the Fraggles. So I don't even think
Yes,
Wandering McMooch
yes.
went that far.
He would,
Oh,
though,
he
and
would.
he would do it. Boober can't bring himself to murder his friends at the end, which is the only thing that puts him in second place worst villain. He wants so badly to. He plans how to do it.
Well, up in Doc and Sprocket world, Sprocket comes back from Ned's, meowing a bunch, still acting like a cat. And Doc yells at him, "You're not a cat, you're a dog. Don't pretend to be what you're not."
So this was part of like the little issue that I had with this episode.
Yeah.
Is that it feels like they should have set up a moment where Boober wishes he was different or his friends wish he was different
Yeah.
and not so annoying, and that doesn't happen. And and the end result is an episode that doesn't necessarily have like the same kind of moral that other episodes do, but does have a theme, which is fine. But if there had, I don't know, if there had just been a little bit more of like a, oh, Boober, you freak, I wish you weren't Boober, then maybe it would have been a little bit more like, okay, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it would have been better or worse, but that just felt like a missing piece.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And like the moral of this ends up being like once a Fraggle, always a Fraggle. Once a dog, always a dog.
Right.
And it felt like that's the thing is like I like this episode, but I think if they did an episode like this on Back to the Rock, they would handle it extremely differently.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the once a Fraggle, always a Fraggle is not the like fun, open-minded like mentality that the series tries to have sometimes. And
Yeah.
I could see it being like you're good just as you are, or be true to yourself episode, like when Red wanted to be more like Moki. But this
Yeah.
didn't feel quite like that.
Or if they had run him off and felt
Right.
bad about it, like
Right,
accepting
like,
him back in and being like, sorry.
If the Gorgs accepted him as one of their own in a way
Yeah.
that he felt like, well, the Fraggles, they didn't love me, but you guys love
Yeah.
me.
And then the Gorgs are taking advantage of him and being bad influences on him and telling him to murder them. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I can understand why it's good that you come back to being this now.
Yeah, but the idea of like, you are this and you can only be this is a weird lesson to teach kids.
Yes, I agree completely. But different times, but also, yeah, I don't know. There's just part of it that's like, what's the point? But talking to Sujith and knowing that he like his interested in writing about cross cultural experiences basically does make this like that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
If we hadn't talked to him and I didn't know that, would be lost on me. But I do think the episode works in that capacity.
Well, in this moment here is where there's another weird edit as far as like time passing, because they
Mhm.
have the Fraggles trapped in a cage, and Ma and Pa are like, all right, well, think of something awful to do to them, a fate worse than death. And then there's just a crossfade, and then Ma and Pa are coming out of the castle being like, so, did you think of something?
Yeah.
And it's like, how long was that supposed to be? Was it like 5 minutes? They're like, oh, we're going to go have a quickie in the castle, son.
Girl. No.
See, the reason your reaction was so visceral is because you know I'm right.
That's right. They're like, this guy's even stupider. We don't even have to be subtle about it anymore. We can just say, we're going to go sex now.
But Ma and Pa bring out the bellows and a big old club, which is apparently the Fraggle Thumper, according to Boober.
We've never seen it. Have we ever seen it before?
I don't think so. It looks very Fred Flintstone-y. I feel like we would remember
It's
this.
huge. Yeah.
Or maybe more Captain Caveman than Fred Flintstone. But Boober's idea is that he's going to blow the Fraggles out of the cage with the bellows, and then Pa is going to hit him with the Fraggle Thumper.
Genius plan. It would work.
It's going to totally work. But when it's time to actually unleash his vicious plan, Boober starts to break down.
Yeah.
And then faints while trying to be awful to the Fraggles. And wakes up knowing exactly who he is. At the same time, Junior wakes up on the roof of the castle.
This part's so crazy. He's just like, hey, I'm up here.
Hey, Ma, I've been up here the whole time.
What a crazy place for him to be.
Well, especially when there's like a whole episode about them being scared to go up on the roof, which I know was Pa being the one more scared to get up there. But
yeah, Junior didn't mind going up there at all, I don't think.
I just like the idea that this is something he does every day.
There's a part in here where Boober then says, like, they say, do you know who you are? And then he's like, what do I look like, Junior Gorg? And I feel like that's the first time also they've ever said one of the Gorg's names.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought
They
about
don't
that.
usually acknowledge that the Gorgs are different guys.
Yeah, like it'd be weird if Boober said, "That's Pa Gorg."
And it's weird when he says I'm like Junior Gorg,
Yeah.
because they don't listen to them talk really. Like they don't. I don't know. They don't I guess they do eavesdrop on them, but
I mean, maybe Moki said his name when they became friends.
that's really one of the only places I can think of that it would have happened.
Yeah.
But I can't think of a time when they've like introduced themselves to each other or anything. Moki, I think, did probably tell him her name, but
I mean, that seems to be a common thread with us is we don't like when Muppets say other Muppets' names in a weird context.
or it's just like I don't know if I don't like it, but it's just like I don't know. It's like when like your wife or like when somebody says your name that doesn't usually say your name. I don't know what's so weird about that.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Like there are times like
It's
you're in the store
weird.
and your wife's trying to get your attention, and like Devin will be like, "Matt," and I'm like, "That is my
What?
name. That is me." But so rarely are we saying each other's names at each other. Well, Boober falls down again after he frees the Fraggles from the cage and pretends for a second to have amnesia in a very side-bottomy behavior.
Just kidding. You've never just kidded in your life. What are you getting at?
It was weird, and especially for again that to be like the last beat of the episode for the Fraggles
Uh-huh.
is for him to be like, "Ha, gotcha."
Yeah, and maybe would have been a little bit more something if they had been the ones who drove him to go there in the first place, and he was like,
He's just really
"I'm
fucking with
you."
them.
Yeah,
Then the episode ends with Doc giving Sprocket cat food, which he is not a fan of, and immediately decides to be a dog again. And that's when we get the once a dog, always a dog line.
weird. But why he was even deciding to be a cat in the first place is unclear. Also,
I mean, it seems like he just had a good time being a cat
I
while he
guess
was
so.
hanging out with Ned.
It probably is more fun to be a cat than a dog. You don't have to go outside if you don't like to go
I
outside.
was gonna say, I guess
which
Sprocket
don't.
is more like mostly an inside dog. Like we don't really
Yeah.
see him being let out a lot.
Yeah, if Doc gave it a little thought, he could teach Sprocket how to use the toilet, and he wouldn't ever have to go outside.
I don't want.
Oh, it would be so weird to pick up the poop of an animal that you basically can talk to and like is a peer of yours.
Sprocket just points. He's like, "Pick it up.
Yeah.
Come on, man."
Maybe he does go to the toilet.
I could see that, but why would he have a doggy door?
Maybe he likes to pee outside because that would be fun if you were allowed to do it.
You could be outside, but pooping's an
You
indoor
have to-
activity.
You gotta poop in the toilet, Sprocket. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, the moment we started communicating, you're using the toilet.
That part of your life was over.
Well, I like this episode much better than the other three. I think mostly just for Boober's performance throughout it, I think
Mhm.
really shined.
Yeah, I agree.
And I just liked, it was an interesting storyline. I think that didn't get, bogged down by Uncle Traveling Matt being involved or there being a weird B plot or anything like that. Like it was a pretty straightforward, even if it was like an outside the box episode.
Yeah, I think I liked Wonder Mountain just a little bit more, B plot regardless, but I gave this one 3 stars. I thought this was a really good one.
Well, that does it for Fraggle Rock season 4, Sam.
That's the end.
Wow.
Kinda. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, we got season 5
not for
/
them,
the
but-
actual second half of season 4 to talk
Yeah.
about later this year. But how'd you feel about this season 4?
I feel like I can understand why Jim would say it's time to go, maybe in some respects. Because it does maybe feel like sometimes, I don't know where else you go with these characters. I suppose
Right.
there's an infinite amount of places, but also this is maybe, I mean, last season was good. I think I remember last season being good, but this season feels good. This season feels solid. Even the episodes we don't like, where it's not like we're like completely perplexed by them like we have been in the past. But I still love Fraggle Rock. I still think it is so far like objectively the best thing that like Jim Henson and company have ever made.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And I think it is, I think season 4 has been the best one so far as like
Yeah.
the storylines go. And even the worst episodes are not as bad as like a bad season 1 episode.
Yeah. I just find myself really caring about all the characters, and like not even like to the point of I'm not able to decide which one I like the best,
Mm.
and that changes. Except Gobo, I never like Gobo the best. Like everybody else, it's like I think I like Red the best, but I think I like Wembley the best. But I think yeah, like Red and Moki maybe are my favorite combo when they have an episode together. But Wembley, I just love Wembley so much. He's so cute.
I do agree with your what you said about like where else do you go with these characters? Like it is hard to know.
Mhm.
Like we've told a lot of stories of these guys learning various lessons. Like what
Yeah.
else can they learn and not start to seem extremely naive that they have to relearn the same things all the time. But
Yeah.
something I am missing in season 4 is Doozer episodes.
Yeah. Right.
And
There was the
Marjorie,
one.
less so. But I miss the Doozers and Marjorie.
Yeah, I love Marjorie and that crew. So I do miss them too. It doesn't necessarily make the show feel like it's less rich or anything, but it is like after you think about it in retrospect, you're like, oh, they're yeah, they those guys used to be around more, and maybe there is something lacking in their absence.
Well, I do know there is an episode in season 5 called "The Trial of Cotterpin Doozer." So,
Oh, she's been asking for it. She's been up to a lot. She's been rocking the boat for a long time.
yeah, so we will, we will see an episode that's at least Doozer focused. But I feel like we
Okay.
had a good amount in like season 2 and 3 of Doozer central episodes, and we haven't had
Yeah.
one in a while.
Yeah, I think you're right. There were some big. We haven't had. I don't think we had in this season an episode about the Doozers, right?
I don't remember one.
I suppose this one coming up probably will be, but
Yeah,
but
but
yeah.
yeah, I don't think there was any season 4 Doozer focused episodes. I think the most we got was we got Sprocket's Big Adventure, where they used Sprocket as a wrecking ball and they tied him up.
Mhm.
And then we got the Tune for Two, where Wembley and Cotterpin teamed up. But that's
Yeah,
like Cotterpin coming into play in the Fraggle world. It is not a
yeah.
Doozer episode necessarily.
But I guess to be fair to the show, they didn't. The season split,
Yeah,
so maybe it isn't like. But yeah, but you're right. They just didn't. They didn't even barely show up in this set of episodes at all, except to dump the frog off the cliff,
which was a highlight, I would say.
which was really cool. Yeah.
Well, Sam, before we get out of here, I got to ask, what non-Muppet thing did you enjoy this week?
I'm not prepared to talk about baseball the same way that you talk about F1 because I don't research things to the same level as quickly as you do.
You haven't watched multiple like hours-long documentaries about
That
the thing?
said, I am about to start watching baseball, the documentary.
Ooh, the Ken Burns?
The Ken Burns. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Okay.
I have no.
Our-
I have little interest in baseball.
Our baseball friend lent it to me. Our baseball
Mr. Met?
coach, Mr. Met, the big ball head man, squeezed himself in our door and said, Here's this gift for you. It's a baseball, but I still love it. It's a good sport. How about you?
I've been playing Harold Halibut on the PS5.
What on earth is that?
It's a video game that looks like stop motion. And the reason that is because they actually built everything for real first out of craft supplies and then scanned them into the computer.
That's genius.
Yeah. But it's a very different looking game. Like it feels like you're playing like a stop motion movie essentially.
What is it, like a point and click adventure or what?
No, it's a pretty like narrative based game where you don't have a ton of plot control. You're just sort of along for the ride.
Uh-huh.
But there's a lot of fun like exploration because there's like a lot of different worlds. Basically, you're a handyman on this like outer space base thing, but like living a fairly normal life. But because it's in another world, there's lots of fun things like he travels through tubes like in Futurama. And he's often getting involved in things and people asking him to do things that he's like, I am really not the person you should be asking to do that, but I am the only one here, so I guess I will crawl through the vents to go get that thing for you. Or some guy's like, I think my wife's cheating on me. Can you go find out if she is? And you're like, I guess. And then you have to go watch to see if she's cheating on him. And you're watching through a window and you're trying to read lips, but like you just get two options of what you think they're saying. And you have to like choose which one you thought they said, even though you don't actually get to see their lips moving. And so you get to either assume the best or assume the worst based on no information whatsoever.
Do you like it?
Yeah, no, it's very fun. It's very relaxing. because you can just walk around. There's not like a lot of like emergency situations where it's like, quick, get to that place. Like you can kind of take your time with it. And I'm only about like, 3-4 hours in at this point, and I think it's a fairly short game, like maybe 10-12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just a fun place to sort of walk around. Has like a little, I guess BioShocky is if you played it, you'd be like, it is not BioShock.
Yeah.
But I say that because it's an underwater world that they are living in.
It looks that's such a cool idea for how to make something.
And there's certain times where like just the lighting is perfect and the textures all look great that it really does look like something they would have hand animated. So before we go, we got to let you know what we're watching next time. And we did say it earlier, so you shouldn't be surprised. It is The Tale of the Bunny Picnic.
Just in time for it to not be Easter at all anymore.
Yeah, that post-Easter bunny picnic watch. Everyone's been waiting for it. But we get the reveal of Bean Bunny. He's finally going to enter our world. And I don't know what else he does for a while. Like I don't know what Bean Bunny was up to in the late 80s after Bunny Picnic, but I'm sure we'll see him again in something.
Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see when they start injecting him.
And they realize he's a star. But yeah, we'll be watching that and also the short clip from the Academy Awards. And I believe that will wrap up March of 1986 for us. So we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com or commitmentstuff.com to get some new merch. We have our Muppet Appreciation shirt up at commitmentstuff.com, available for pre-order. And you can also email this podcast if you want to at mail@commitment.com. Or you can follow this podcast everywhere on social media at CommitmentPod. And you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.